Are you a squirrel chaser? I am a confessed squirrel chaser. And so today on Growing Hope, I'm going to share some of the trappings of squirrel chasing and also some of the things that I use to help harness the power of squirrel chasing.
It's time for Growing Hope, the show determined to grow up hearts open to pursue the extraordinary. Because you are extraordinary! And now, it's your host, Catherine Lang.
Hello, I'm Catherine, and I'm a squirrel chaser. My attention, hey, squirrel. Oh, just kidding. For those who know, squirrel chasing comes from the movie Up, where the characters in the story are, some of the characters are dogs, and every time they see a squirrel, or they think they see a squirrel, or they think they hear a squirrel, they freeze and go, squirrel. And I utilized this term when I was writing for the Lakeside Post. I had to do my column every week, and one week I could not come up with a topic for my column. I got lost watching some squirrels outside my window, trying to think of a column idea, and my deadline snuck up and bit me. I ended up using the squirrels as a metaphor for the column. However, I also dubbed squirrel chasing as something that would distract me. So today on Growing Hope, we're talking all about these distractions as squirrels and how squirrel chasing can be harnessed for good, or it can leave you in a ditch, depending on how we squirrel chase. Because I am a confessed squirrel chaser. I had even admitted it on the internet. So therefore, you know that it is real. It's on the internet. I chase squirrels because random things make me happy. When I see an airplane, I have to yell airplane. And it even if my husband's in the middle of a wonderful soliloquy to expand on the benefits of the sermon that we had at church, I'm going to interrupt him if I see an airplane. True confession time. I will also do this if I see a horse or a cow or a pretty flower. There's just no telling what I'm going to randomly shout out, because I chase squirrels randomly because they make me happy. I chase them because they annoy people. In this particular situation, it's my husband's aversion to me yelling, Wolverines! Every time I see a helicopter. If you know, you know. If you don't know, reach out and I will explain it to you. I chase squirrels because I'm very curious. I need to know, I need to get to the heart of the situation. I need to get to the heart of the circumstance. I need to get to the heart or the root of the story. I have to keep digging until I get there. I have to know, even if it has nothing to do with me. I especially have to know if it does have something to do with me. My husband likes to remind me that curiosity killed the cat. And I like to tell him that satisfaction brought it back. I conveniently ignore the whole 9 lives things. When something tweaks my attention, I want to know. And I'm just going to have to keep digging until I get there. I'm going to have to keep going past the superficial of, say, social media to get to the root of the truth. And sometimes I find that even if I get to the root of the truth, you don't get the real truth, because even if you're at a situation, you're in the circumstance, the truth is beyond one perspective. But still, I chase squirrels. I chase squirrels because chasing a squirrel allows me to put off doing what I know to do. Because even though I want to do what I know to do, I don't want to do it because I'm nervous about the outcome. I'm nervous that it won't work, or that it won't be enough, or that people are going to talk and point. You would think at this point in my life, I would know that people are going to point and talk no matter what. But still, I get nervous. And so I chase squirrels because at least I'm doing something chasing a squirrel. I have a lot of reasons to chase squirrels. What about you? Do any of these reasons resonate with you? Because you're curious, because you're putting something off, because you like random things, because you like to annoy people, or maybe you have your own motivation for chasing squirrels. But whatever the reason, squirrel chasing is not the answer. Squirrel chasing can be a tool, but squirrel chasing is not the answer. Unless, of course, you found that person that is going to pay you for your squirrel chasing endeavors, in which case, please call me. Please let me know. I need to meet this person. But I have found that my squirrel chasing endeavors, they usually not only don't get me to where I want to go, but they always lead to another squirrel. Sometimes those squirrels cross paths and I don't even recognize that I've changed squirrels. I'm just going from one squirrel to the next because squirrels are everywhere. Have you noticed that? There is always something that will catch your attention to your left or to your right or to your front or to your back. There is always something going on that can distract you from what you are supposed to be doing. And more often than not, it happens at the most inopportune time. It is when you least need it that the squirrel shows up. And it distracts you from what it is that you're supposed to be doing. If you are struggling with squirrel chasing, recognize that it's always going to show up when you don't want it to. And you're going to end up flittering away most of your day, or at least the last couple of hours, trying to find that perfect emoji to go along with that email that you wrote in 5 minutes. Maybe because you're afraid to send it. I don't know. Or the pork chops that you left simmering have completely dried out because you got caught up in that Twitter feed, because you had to get to the root of that Twitter feed. Now all you have is leather in your dinner pan. So have you ever found yourself chasing squirrels for no reason whatsoever, or even for a reason, but ended up in the wrong place, or had the right reason for chasing the squirrel, but it was just at the wrong time? My husband and I are reading through the Bible together. It's a year-long reading, just 4 chapters a day, or it's supposed to be 4 chapters a day, but because we're using a chronological Bible, it is 5 pages a day. But in the middle of the reading, the Psalms popped up. And in this particular situation, I got distracted. The Psalms became a squirrel for me because I used to read the Psalms every month. And I would read all the Psalms every month. And I would read through Proverbs every month. But when I set out my reading schedule for the Focus Flexibility Planner, I mixed them into the regular readings. And I realized when I was reading this chronological Bible that, okay, can you tell it's a squirrel? Just by the way I'm talking, it was a squirrel. I spent 2 hours figuring out how to add the Proverbs and the Psalms into my readings so that I could read through them every month and still do the Bible in 1 quarter so it would fit into my Focus Flexibility Planner. And before I know it, 2 hours were gone. I hadn't done my reading and I was behind. What I was supposed to be doing didn't get done because I was chasing that squirrel. Squirrels, when we chase squirrels, we lose time, we lose focus, and we lose attention. But squirrels don't have to be bad. Squirrel chasing doesn't have to be bad. That was important. I needed those readings. I need the Psalms and the Proverbs every month. They make me happy. They strengthen me. They encourage me. They keep me focused. So it's not that the squirrel chasing was a problem. It was the place of the squirrel chasing that was the problem. I needed to redirect that to another time. When we know the why and the what and even the how of our squirrel chasing adventures, then we can create balance for our journey. So 1, is this even your squirrel? 2, do you have the time for the Wonderland adventure the squirrel's going to take you on? 3, is there a hard stop that will break up your squirrel chasing? 4, can someone else chase this particular squirrel for you? 5, is this the squirrel that you're looking for? Have you ever gotten so caught up in your squirrel chasing that you, even when you knew that you needed to be somewhere else, even when you knew that you needed to be doing something else? I am often surprised at my squirrel chasing ability. And I'm really surprised that my squirrel chasing ability and gift did not get me kicked out of school. Because the teacher would be up there talking about something that I'm sure she thought was important. But it would send me down a rabbit hole chasing the squirrel, and I would be writing on about this particular, my own personal squirrel chasing. Now, I'm sure she thought I was being all studious and taking notes, but I wasn't. I am thankful that I did not live at a time where I carried a computer in my purse or in my pocket or in my wallet or whatever. I'm very glad that we did not have the technology that we have today for so many reasons. But if I had had that ability, I'm sure that I would have been lost in my own thoughts. And it's probably what saved me, that inability to research. Because the other day, this happened to me in church. The sermon, I don't know what he said, but for me it took a turn, and I had to go research it, and I ended up with 2 pages of notes that was completely off target from what the outline material had been, that they put it in the bulletin. And my husband leaned over and said, "What did you get for 3?" And I was like, I don't even know what 3 was, because I didn't know what he's talking about. And he just rolled his eyes at me, which goes to show you that my husband understands that my squirrel chasing had taken me. I veered completely off of the subject. I am getting better at recognizing the squirrels, the squirrels that are theirs from the squirrels that are mine. And that's because I've taken the time to define my unique design, and I can line it up. Does this have anything to do with who I am supposed to be? And if it doesn't, I'm getting better about letting it go. So that's the first thing you need to ask yourself. Is this your squirrel? I saw something on TV the other day. It was a random rerun, and there was just something about it that I had to know more about. And I picked up my phone. See, technology can get me in trouble. Picked up my phone and was just about to chase the squirrel when I recognized that it had nothing to do with me. It had nothing to do with my journey. I had absolutely no skin in the game whatsoever. I would gain nothing from uprooting this particular squirrel. I let it go. I watched their squirrel scamper away, happy to release it. But it's because, again, I knew it wasn't for me. Do you know your purpose? Because the key to recognizing whether or not it's their squirrel or your squirrel is to know your unique design. Without your unique design, without understanding who you are designed to be, all the squirrels look the same. Until you know who you are designed to be, until you understand how you are supposed to live out your unique design, until you understand your place in God's purpose, you're likely to chase any squirrel that comes along. So take time to define you so you can determine if it's your squirrel that you're chasing. The second thing that you need to ask is whether or not you have time for the Wonderland adventure, because every single squirrel you chase will take you down a rabbit hole of one kind or another. There have been squirrels that I knew I was going to chase. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I was going to chase them, but I knew I didn't have time. I knew that I had something else that was a priority. I knew I had something else I had to do. So I got one of the index size sticky note pads. And when one of those squirrels shows up, I write down the details of it on that sticky note. And then I stick the sticky note on my whiteboard of world domination. When I have completed my ones for each area of balance, the aspiration, transformation, stewardship, and fellowship, then that's in my focus flexibility planner, then I am allowed to chase squirrels. but I have to do what I'm supposed to do first. I'm getting much more consistent in this, so I am able to utilize the squirrels that I need to know more about, or I want to know more about. I am not being distracted by the squirrels. I'm being impacted by them. How about that? I am not being distracted by the squirrels. I'm being impacted by my squirrel chasing. Do you have time for this squirrel chasing endeavor? Here's a pro tip. Schedule time in your day or in your week to take those sticky notes and chase them down. The third question you need to ask is there a hard stop? Is there something that's going to direct you back into intentional action from your squirrel chasing endeavors? I have regularly scheduled meetings on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. I try not to chase squirrels on Wednesdays. There's nothing to fence me in. There's no bumpers on the lane to keep the ball rolling down the lane. So I try to focus on doing my squirrel chasing on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays because I have a hard stop. If I schedule my squirrel chasing before one of those meetings, I know that I will have to stop wherever I am in the squirrel chasing in order to take the meeting. A hard stop is just a time constraint. It's just something that you can't forget and you can't miss that will keep you from getting tangled in the squirrel chasing. It is something that will allow you to be empowered by your squirrel chasing instead of losing your time to that squirrel chasing. It's squirrel chasing. It's a squirrel chasing control element. What is a hard stop that you can use for your squirrel chasing plans? The fourth question that you need to ask is this a squirrel I can pass on? Is there someone else I can let chase this particular squirrel? Maybe it's something I'm really interested in, but it's not my particular gift or talent. And maybe I know somebody that's well versed in it. Reach out to them. Here's the thing. You're allowed to ask for help in your squirrel chasing. So reach out to somebody that you know has an interest in this or already has a skill in this. If you have a son that loves to find out the history of this particular squirrel, ask him. You can also ask AI. This is a great way to use the AI tool like Grok or ChatGPT or Gemini. Just give them great parameters around this particular squirrel and let them go to town. It'll take them a snap of your fingers to find out all the information that you would have spent the last 2 days chasing to find out. Let AI narrow your Wonderland trip. So who can you ask to help you in your squirrel chasing? And finally, the question that we need to ask is this the squirrel that you're looking for? Because I know I have a tendency to start chasing a squirrel and the squirrel I'm chasing now is 4 paths back, and I've left my squirrel 4 paths back and I'm chasing something else. So I started out looking for a recipe, and then the news popped up and gave me something, and now I'm chasing that squirrel, and then a notification comes up, and now I'm chasing that squirrel, and now my husband's standing there wondering where his breakfast is, and I don't have breakfast or the recipe. I've lost track of my squirrel and my time. Squirrel chasing is all about knowing you, and then harnessing the power of your focus to get you to where you want to be. Don't let squirrel chasing take over. Find your way. And until next time, remember, be blessed and be a blessing.
Thank you for joining us for Growing Hope with Catherine Lang, where we are sharing hope, encouragement, and inspiration to do more. Visit www.catherinelang.com to invite Catherine to be part of your event or to share your own stories of possibility living. Until next time, remember that a seed of hope planted and nurtured will grow up into a world of possibilities.